All right, welcome everyone. It's Chris Petri. We're having a lot of fun. We're doing some fun figure paintings, drawings and paintings today. We'll do three, two male figures and a female figure. We'll start out with the businessman in a suit reading a newspaper. Then we have a female figure, artist with a case walking. And then we have lastly the painter, like a construction painter painting a house, and this one's a little more of dynamics to it, more action in this one. This one has some action. This female figure is walking, so we have some action into the figures, and then this one is more pretty much kind of feels pretty still, just really a relaxed pose with a newspaper. So all of these are just fun to try. I'm hoping each of you will try these, and I go step by step, real slow with the pencil drawing, and I kind of explain how I'm getting all of my lines and how I'm using things to kind of scale things so that I keep things in proportion, correct proportion as much as possible. And we're not shooting for perfection here. We're just looking to have fun, get some figure work in, and get familiar with the human form and the human figure, and also clothing, and doing things like colors of clothing, shadowing, and some of the basic structure of the human form. All right, so we'll get started in about 2 seconds. All right, so we just saw the finished compositions, some of the finished compositions figure painting here. We're just going to have some fun and do sketches of figures loosely, just kind of gestures and fun compositions. We'll get started with, let's do maybe a businessman in a suit with a newspaper, maybe waiting for a bus, or maybe just getting a break and just looking at the newspaper for a few minutes and checking some things in the stock market. So the first thing I'll do is I'll start over here on my page. Maybe I'll just go around it. Sometimes when I'm drawing here on camera, I have to make sure I'm within the picture frame here. I don't want to draw off the picture frame here. So I'll do that just to make sure I'm okay. And all right, so what I'll do is I'll start out with a light sketch first. Then after that, I'll go over with a darker pencil line. But I'll try to make the figure about, I'm going to say about half the page. So I'll divide the page in half like so. And I'll try to make the figure about 3-4 inches tall. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'll start out with the head shape, just to get the head shape started. And it's almost profile view. And then maybe we'll do a hat. So I'll put a nose on there first. I'll put his nose on there. And then maybe his hat's going to be quite a bit down. So I'll maybe make his hat pretty far down. So, and we'll put the hat like that. The ear. Okay, now we'll start with shoulder, his right shoulder. So I'm going to kind of now a good thing I can do is as I'm working this lighter sketch here, if I keep my pencil lines close within where I start from, so if I'm starting here from the head, and then let's say usually when we're drawing figures, we'll usually use the head as our measuring scale. So we'll say, okay, I have the head drawn. Now how many heads to the waistline do I have for the human figure? And we would say approximately 4. So if we start out with the head here and we say, okay, how much 4 head lengths to approximately the waist, so we could take a look and say 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that might be around where the waist is. I super lightly pencil in 4 head lengths. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those we can erase if we want to. Okay, so we have about the waist length. There. And then here, I'm going to have his paper here. And I'll do his other shoulder over here, which is just visible there. What I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit here. This is quite... Let me do that. I should have started that way. But all right, I'm already here. I'm starting to develop the head, shoulder here. So we have the head, shoulder down here, elbow. We did the hat. We got the newspaper in here. Jacket down here. And then I would say shoulder, I would say the jacket's about there. And then another 4 head lengths down to his feet. 1, 2, 3, about 4, 7.5 to 8 head lengths to the feet. And over here we'll make his other right leg. And we'll make his other foot here. And I always say that usually your pencil sketch will look a little bit awkward a lot of times when you're drawing figures or anything really in pencil drawing until you start putting on some paint. Then you really see things come to life, and you can also adjust your pencil drawing with your paintbrush. So if you want to add and make the pants a little bit wider and thicker, you can do that with your paint and just sort of work your paint out a little bit at a time as you're looking at it, because it's a lot easier once you have some paint on the paper to kind of see a little more of what the solidity of the object is, or the person, the figure. So I apologize, I missed a little bit of the bottom portion there. Okay, so that's good like that. So that's our first figure, and we'll get some interesting colors on here. We'll just do a simple color. Maybe a black suit and some flesh tones, and I think that should be good. So I'll get a smaller size brush. Let me see what we have. I might use this number 5 Da Vinci travel brush. It's actually a synthetic brush, and this came with my Schmincke palette, so I'll use that for the painting. I'll change out my water. I'll put some fresh clean water in the container and we can get started here. I think I'll start with the flesh tones maybe first, so I'll go with some cadmium red and yellow ochre. Maybe a touch of burnt sienna. A little more red, I think. That looks pretty good, I think. And I'll just start out with hand. Then we have the face. Like that. And you can always use a tissue or paper towel if you have a lot of water puddling up in any area. Sometimes I'll just lift up a little bit of paint. You can also do that to maybe make some highlights on the face. Like that. So maybe there's some highlights on the face there. And then you could do some more work to it once it dries, but you wouldn't want to keep going over it. Once you get that first wash on, you want to leave it just like that and let it dry. And then we can go back and start working on the other parts. Here, let's do the suit. So I'll get some black here. And I'll make sure I don't paint too close to the hand, to the flesh on the hand. That'll be a problem. And I think the suit will be kind of all flowing into one. So we're just going to paint right on down into the pants. I hope you're having a fun time so far. These are kind of fun, simple figure paintings we can do just to have a little bit of practice. And I'm not trying to have anything perfect here. I'm just trying to get some good basic color on here for this suit here. And I'll make the shoes black as well. And we can do a little bit of, maybe a little bit of violet color for some shadowing here for our figure. And I'll continue with some more black. I'll maybe go over here now just so I want to keep my paint very, very thick. I don't want to dilute my paint at all or make it too much with water on the brush, so I'll make sure I keep my Okay, and then the hat, we're going to go with, maybe we'll warm that up a little bit with a little bit of raw sienna. make it a little bit of a lighter value. It's a little bit darker here. This will lighten up too. And again, you can always lighten up by just picking up a little bit of paint with a tissue and then drying off the brush with the tissue as well. And then maybe we'll do a little bit of a little bit of design to the newspaper. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Maybe I'll take the maybe a little bit of brown and a little bit of burnt sienna just to make a little bit of a darker flesh tone here, with a little bit of the red too as well. Just I want to make it a little bit, maybe even a touch of the black. Then I'll dry that off, and I'll just try to get a little bit of a make an indication for the nose. Maybe just a touch for the eyes there. Maybe a little bit of hair. If you don't want too much of the lips, you can always lift up. That's always a good way to go. If something looks a little bit off, just do one quick lift with your tissue, one press down and one lift up, and that's all you need. And that'll remove the previous wash you just added in there. And then you can start over again once it dries. But for me, I think this looks pretty good. And that'll be our first figure. I hope we had some fun doing this one. It's we could do some shadowing, but I don't want to get too much. A little bit of shadowing here under the by the chin. Like that. All right, that's good. Let's start another one over here. So we'll move right over. Maybe this one, let's try maybe a female figure. We'll do maybe a female figure. Let's see. We'll do the same thing. I'll start off. I'm just going to improvise this here. I'll do the same thing. I'll start off with a head about here, like that. And what's happening now is I'm going to have to make this figure closer to the center of the camera here. So I will lift up this line and we'll bring this figure over here. Okay, so that's better. We'll start off with the head there. And we'll do some hair. Like this, and then maybe a ponytail, like that. Okay, and then we'll get a just a quick bit of profile for the nose there. And you can do some minor adjustments with a little bit of a kneaded eraser if you want. Then I'm going to make the neckline here. Like that. We'll make the shoulders here. Like this. And I'd like to try to, maybe this might be a sweater. Or shawl. And then we'll have our shoulder here. And she'll be carrying a, maybe an art bag or something here. We'll pretend we're on an art expedition here. Okay, and then we'll come down here. We'll maybe make the waist about a little bit below the elbow. We'll make the waist. Come around here. We'll make a turn behind the art case and then back out this way. And we'll make a shoe here and the bottom of her pants and shoe. And that's, I can tell her foot would need to be on more of an angle. Going this way, like that. This leg is going to be down here, a little bit further out from the shoulder, but not much more out than from the shoulder, and a little bit longer than this leg. I would like that to be. Like this, because she's walking and she'd have this foot. Maybe let's even change this one here. Let's make this foot. That's the only thing. Sometimes it is not easy to get the angles of feet correct. It's kind of difficult. So if that's the case, we can always start the back of the foot here, like that, and then it goes over this way. So this way we're going to foreshorten the foot, the front of the foot, and have it on an angle like this. I don't know if you can kind of see this, but if I take my time and I just keep lightly drawing the foot, I eventually kind of just feel it out and eventually get the right angle for it. A lot of times that's how I do it. And then we're good here. We have pretty much the figures all set. Here, she looks good. I got everything all situated nicely, and I think that's good. I think the other arm, we do not have to see the other arm. That's fine. The other arm can be holding something else maybe, or balancing, just walking. Sometimes you won't always see the other arm on the other side of the body. So we'll be fine with this. So, and then we'll just maybe do a bit of a shadow mark here, so we know to put a shadow underneath this figure. And then we'll start with our, let's take a quick break. I've done one figure already, and I've started on my second. So right now I feel like I could use a break, take a little bit of a breather, let my concentration build back up again a little bit, because I think I'm getting a little fatigued. And we'll get started in just a second, and we'll come back. We'll start painting actually our second figure, our female figure, with a art case here and a sweater, and we already have our businessman with his newspaper there. We finished that figure, so that one's good. And then we'll even do a third one or so, or maybe we'll do 4 altogether. But at least we have our second one now penciled in, and we'll get started with the painting in just a sec. All right, so we're going to continue here, and let's start working on our second figure. So I will use the same flesh tones. I'll just work right back into those flesh tones, which are basically cadmium red, a little bit of yellow ochre to get a yellowish red complexion. And I'll just get that lightly on the face here and neck area. And then I'll work some flesh tones here on her hand there, and that should be good. And I can start working on some colors for the clothing. So maybe I can use a purple and some cerulean blue. So maybe I'll mix some cerulean blue down here, a little bit of cobalt blue maybe too, like that. So cobalt over here, cerulean kind of in the center area, and then our purple up over here, like that. So I'll kind of have a mixture of 3 cool colors, and then maybe a little bit of pink over here, a little bit of pink up here, which is alizarin crimson, and then I can even take a little bit of that purple and sort of work that into the alizarin crimson too, a little bit of the purple, like that, and that should be kind of good. It'll all sort of tie together nicely. And I'll start out maybe, I guess the light's going to be coming from here. Same thing with this figure. The light's kind of coming across the picture this way. And so I'll have that same idea. And let's try starting up at the top, maybe where the sweater is, and maybe that is on the shadow side back here. have a tissue usually with me, like this. I can dab off a little bit of water. I can dry the brush off quite a bit. And then slowly smooth that wash out lightly so that it makes it look like it's sort of, the light is sort of on the right side over here. And then we'll do some more shadowing, maybe under here with a little bit of blue. I'll put a little bit of blue in there too. A little bit of purple under here. And then we can always take a little bit of brown and black to just make a little bit of a kind of a grayish mixture. And then we could sort of gray down a few spots too, so that we don't have everything looking extremely high intensity. So that'll work good there. And then I'm going to try to get some bit of a light and shadow on the sleeve over here. A little bit of French ultramarine blue and brown, just to get a little bit of a dark under here like that. And under here maybe a little bit too. Make a couple of dark shadows. Just a few of those though, not too many. And what else do we have here? We'll do some cobalt blue for the jeans. And I'll make the left side of the figure darker with darker like colors for the jeans. And again, if you want to add some light to the picture in a spot, you can just use your paper towel or tissue and kind of lift up a little bit of the wash to reestablish a light, maybe, if you want to. And over here, I'll put a little shadow under there where the case is. There might be a little bit of a cast shadow there. Okay, and a little bit of shadowing over there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe we'll use some raw umber for our case here. Then I'll just do a lighter version of the raw umber. And I'll leave a light line in between this back of the case. I'll leave that darker, and then I'll just try to make a little bit of I'll leave like a dry edge of paper along there so that it doesn't blend together right away. Then you can always go back and blend those edges together. But sometimes it works better if we can just leave a little bit of dry paper in between two washes if you want to kind of keep them their tonal values that you're looking to capture when you're doing the wash. And I think this looks pretty good. So I'm just trying to add a little bit of detail to the case. Maybe there's a handle too over here. Like that. And then we're going to go with, again, maybe the raw umber for the hair. Could add a little bit of brown too as well, if we want to, just in the certain places maybe where there's a little bit of shadow. And blend it. But I definitely would not keep working and working and working on, like, let's say something like the hair or the clothing. It's better if you can kind of get it completed in one or two or three like passes with the brush, like brush strokes, versus trying to keep going over and over again, because that tends to make things a little bit more difficult if you do want to start to repair something. But we can always start another painting too. We don't have to worry. We're doing these as compositions, so we can always not worry about it and just start another one. If something doesn't come out perfect, we don't worry about it. And we'll do her shoes here. And then even a little bit of shadowing with some purple and some blue maybe. Only issue I have with this is I'm making this shadow really, I should have this shadow behind this figure, so that might look, this kind of looks a little bit awkward. So this happens time to time when I'm painting, and maybe I'm a little bit tired, I think, so what I can do is give the foreground a bit of a wash like that. With some purple and blue, things like this. Give that a bit of like that. Then once this dries, then we can go in behind the figure over here and make a darker shadow on the other side of the figure over behind the legs, and that'll look better. So we just took that shadow, made it really soft, we softened it out and made it really light. That became like the ground below here that she's standing on, and then we can go in once this dries 100% and do a little shadowing there, and then this way it'll look more correct because the light is coming from this direction across the picture that way. So I feel like I can do a little bit of and again, I try not to overwork things too much. So that's good for now. Let's do one or two more figures. We'll do something a little different maybe next. Maybe we'll do an action figure or something. These are somewhat, not really action. This is more like they're kind of moving a little bit, but they're not. Maybe we'll have like a running figure or something. So we'll try something a little more dynamic. All right, so we'll be right back. I'll just, once we get back, we'll change out and get a new piece of paper on here, and we'll continue on. All right, so right before we start another bit of paper, I'll just try to zoom in on these for a few seconds here, these figures. And so these are the two we just did, we created. And again, we said on this one here, the same thing. The shadow should really be behind the figure, because we did say the light's coming from the front of the picture, coming across this way. We can kind of see the light on the face of this figure here, and the light on the shirt and blouse and sweater and pants and jeans and case on this figure too. So that's where the shadow is really important. But when I usually get tired, sometimes I don't draw in and pencil in. I should have penciled in the shadow a little more accurately, and I should have put our insignia like we always do. We always try to put our insignia up at the top of the page. So usually up here at the top of our page, we will usually make our light insignia like this, like a spotlight. And then if I had this here, like I normally do, I usually always do this. If I had that there, I probably would have not painted in the shadow on this side. I would have glanced up here and said, oh, that's the light, so that means my shadow's got to be on the other side. But this will happen to all of us as artists. We sometimes lose our concentration or get a little tired, and that's not a big deal. That's when we just take more paper and we start another one. So I'm going to zoom back out here just a little bit, and I'm going to trim off this paper here. I have to find a knife, something to trim this off with. And this is great, the block paper. You just take the block paper with a small utility, like a little small pen knife here. And then you just trim right around like that. You just trim around. Always trim away from yourself. If you're going to trim paper, you'd always trim away. And away like that, away from your body. And always the same thing over here, trim away like that. And then we have these two. We'll set this over here on the side. We'll start another figure. We'll do one more figure. This one here, I think, will be fun. It's going to be more of an action figure. And it ties into what we're doing. We're painting, so we're going to make a painter painting. So what I'll do is I'm going to make that rectangle like I always do around my paper, just so I know that. Then I'm going to do my insignia, my light insignia, which is the same thing. Light's coming from the right, coming this way. And then over here, we'll make the figure over here on the left-hand side. And I'll start out with the head looking up like this. So this figure's head is sort of tilted back like this, looking up this way. And we're going to have a hat on this figure. So we'll put the hat on like that. Some hair. And then a collar here. Then we're going to make a shoulder here. And then a sleeve here. And then his shirt like that. And then up over here, he's going to have some overalls. Like this. And I think I made the overalls, maybe I have to just make those a little bit, not as quite as far down. I say that's about good there. His pants are here, and they come up to here. And then his other leg comes down and ends up behind his head over here. So that's down there. Feet are about level. Okay, that's good. And the feet we're going to have stretching here, so. Okay, and then we'll have his arm up here. He's reaching. Okay, he's reaching while he's painting here. And his hands, I guess, are outstretched. Like that. And I think that's pretty good. I think I can do this better. that. Okay, I think that's good. And here again, we'll make sure we're using our rule that the shadow is going to be over here behind our figure. And he's painting the ceiling. So let's take a break and we're going to finish up with our painting. This should be a lot of fun. We'll kind of stick to some simple colors too. We'll do maybe a red shirt or a blue shirt and, you know, maybe just some white coveralls, like painters usually typically wear the white coveralls. So let's come back in just a second and we'll finish up. All right, I'm hoping everyone can see as we have, we were sketching here. I'm hoping you can see the sketching halfway decent as we're going along. Through my viewfinder, it seems pretty good. Maybe I'll go over this with a darker pencil line one time. So I'll start off at the head area, and I'll just maybe try to make this a little darker. All right, I hope that looks a little bit more readable here so we can see. Let's start doing the painting. I think we'll go right in and do the same thing. We'll get our flesh tones. So I'll use the flesh tone we already had mixed up on our palette over here. And I'll just start going right in and paint the I can go right over the back of the hair because we're going to make the hair a little darker. We'll do the arms. The arms are darker in tonal value on the left side because that's in shadow. Then I quickly rinse off my brush, dry off my brush with a tissue, paper towel, sponge, whatever you have. And then I just try to blend this arm here a little bit so that we do have a little bit of that light and shadow there. Okay, that's okay, looking good. We'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to do this arm, the left arm. Okay, that's looking good. And let's see. I think I'll do some blue. Maybe a blue striped shirt. And some more cobalt blue for the, maybe there's some blue socks. And then maybe we'll do some black for shadowing under the shoes here. Just a bit of shadow under the like that. And then maybe some bluish gray for the pants, the shadows too over here. So we're going to do some shadowing on the Okay, so we're doing some of those shadows. Light's coming from this direction, so the shadows are over here on the left side. Okay, and we'll make the brush. And the same thing with the brush. We'll just keep it very and some shadows. Painting up there. And then we're going to have some shadows, some purple. Bit of purple shadow under here. And I'll mix around a little bit of colors maybe. All right, so I hope everyone enjoyed this as well. This is more of an action figure, so we had fun doing this. I'm hoping you'll subscribe too on the right-hand side below. Just below on this on this video, you'll see the subscribe button, and all that does is it'll keep you in touch with us here so that you'll know when we make some new videos and tutorials on watercolors. Everything is watercolor here on my channel, so you never have to worry. You're going to get all the information on watercolor that you can handle, and then some. And I'm always on the comment section, so if you ever have questions, you always leave comments for me and I can answer your questions for you. And we have a great time here on this channel. We do everything from figure painting, portraits, landscapes, flowers, seascapes, boat paintings, architecture, houses, buildings, street scenes. We kind of do it all, everything watercolor. And so we are always having fun and enjoying ourselves. And this is sometimes we'll do these once in a while too. We'll do, this is more of like, we don't do this as often as we will boat paintings and ocean and sea, ocean and beach scenes and maybe flowers and things like that. But I try to bring as much variety as possible because I know some of you really enjoy this type of work and painting like this. And so I don't want to just sort of, keep doing the same old thing without kind of building variety into my channel. So that's why I'm always... And I've made my figure, my painter with just a little bit of longer hair, And I think that's good. All right, so we'll see you on the next video. Again, thanks so much for coming by and joining along. I appreciate everybody, and I'm so happy that everyone's making great progress. So many of you have left comments in the comments section saying that you're really coming along and everything is working well with all the videos that we're creating. And many of you have sent me photos of your paintings, which look absolutely beautiful. So I'm just so pleased and happy that everyone is really enjoying their watercolor journey. And so let's continue on, and we'll see you again very, very soon.